So yesterday I was watching the Paul Sullivan testimony in the Madlanga Commission. And I'm not going to talk about the testimony itself. I'm just going to talk about the mannerisms that I observed and how I picked this up probably later on in my 20s, like after high school into varsity, I picked it up. So my parents moved my sisters and I from Umlazi, which is a town in Durban on the south coast, to the Bluff, which is a suburb on the south coast, because we went to school there. They wanted us. It was all good in the hood. So we moved around the time when, we just received our freedom. Mandela was out. We had voted him in presidency. It was 1995. No, towards the end of 1994. My parents were like, he's out, we out. So I remember that I have this embedded memory of my first encounter where I felt like I wasn't supposed to be here when we moved. So my sisters and I, we would clean the house. We're excited. We just moved. Our parents have gone to get some groceries. And I think we were having like a welcome party. We had some neighbors from where we were previously from, Umlazi, coming to see us and welcoming us and so forth. And so we were cleaning during the day, right? And next thing you know, this person from the other side of the fence is shouting at us. He's shouting at us. I go, what are you doing in your house? Do you live here? So asking questions that are very, rhetorical question. Duh, you see me standing here. Of course I live here. Asking questions like, is this your house? Blah, blah, blah. Basically, he was saying that we were making noise. Yeah, we were playing music, but we were not making like a lot of noise. We were probably I don't know how old I was. My sister, obviously, she was older than me by 2 years. I think she was 14. I was 12. My younger sister was 10. No, I bet. We were even younger. But I think my sister was 12 or something like that. No, man, we were young. But we were playing music, okay? I can't remember our ages. So I'm sure we were young. I was younger by 2 years. And I almost started to feel like, what am I doing here? Did mom and dad move us to the right house? I felt I felt like I was invading my own home because someone questioned what we were doing there. So fast forward to just, now we're living in the burbs. There used to be these microaggressions. It was still early, guys. We just received our freedom. I'm sure the people are like, what are you doing in our hood? Dude, things have changed. We have received freedom. Everybody's allowed to live everywhere. So one thing I started picking up was just the microaggression, the mannerism. Sometimes even in school, they can easily be mocking you, but be saying it very nicely. And also somebody may be guilty of something, but maybe minimizing what they are saying, so you don't pick it up in guilty. So things like, yeah, I just kicked that guy. It was so crazy. Can you imagine? I'm like, in your mind, okay, you kicked a guy, but why are you laughing? So at that age, we obviously were younger. There wasn't teachings on how to read the room. When people do this is considered a microaggression. We didn't know what that was. So we would be like, oh yeah, I kicked them on the floor. Yes. In my head, I'm like, what in the world? But only later on I realized this is how certain people get away with things in life. They tend to do the unthinkable and then make others feel stupid when they are being challenged. I could pick this up. I just love the commissioners. Such a smart group of individuals. How they were keep on pulling him back to explain his train of thoughts, his recollection of the events that he was that he was sharing. And as he was sharing, he was like, I don't even know. By the way, I was recognized for this. By the way, I'm like, what that has to do with the line of questioning? I want to say this to someone. Maybe I'm not. I can't be the only one. But watching the Madlanga Commission is teaching me some boss skills in terms of, don't be satisfied with just an answer that sounds good. You need to be okay with interrogating a response that makes sense, okay? Because if you're not, people will be giggling in your face and you will be saying yes to something that is actually contradictory to your values, to what you are meant to do, because you are not able to read the room. And I've seen this, especially the dynamics between the races, especially in South Africa, where we grew up in apartheid, and then we had to now navigate living with each other, right? Obviously, I was younger, but my parents, when they explain their living circumstances in the 80s, 70s, 60s compared to what we experience, yes, we are aware of it, we saw a little bit of it. We experienced the navigation of a South Africa born after the trials and tribulations of apartheid. You can't just say hi to your manager. You must say hi, boss. You can't just look at them in the eye. You must say yes, boss. So for us, we were torn between, I don't like that, but I'm also not sure if I should say yes. And later on, especially now with the new generation, we didn't realize, no, man, we were torn between two worlds, especially if you were a black child who was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s. You were born in two worlds. The ones who were the product of the apartheid, but also because you got a glimpse of it and you saw what it did to your parents and your whole family unit, you also had an appreciation of what was done for you to get here. But then you were battling between, I want to move forward, but I'm not sure if I move forward, what does this look for me? So what I'm saying is, in the Madlanga Commission, the Paul O'Sullivan statement, or the recollections that he was sharing, I got triggered a little bit in terms of how he was answering the commissioners. He was like trying to minimize his recollection of events. And I actually don't know what he was talking about, because at some point he was just babbling on. And people are so good to make you not probe about something by the way they share it. So by the way they make it seem like it's nothing, when it's actually a big deal. So the lesson that I want to say in this video today is, just look at the commissioners and how they are navigating tough questions in a very sticky situation. Don't be afraid to dig a bit deeper, okay? Don't go with whatever someone tells you or whatever somebody makes fun of. Like, like I hit him in the head. Yeah, it was so hilarious. Like, you hit who, what, where, why? You cannot be okay with people that try to make other people fools, and be okay because they're another color and they seem like a cool guy, they seem like a cool girl. No, you must be able to now navigate conversations, ask tough questions. These days it's really about value. People, do they have the right character, the right values? You need to challenge the people that you are surrounded with. And if you are not getting what you are envisioning from, or what you're expecting from these people, you need to pull yourself back. Because as we can all see with the Madlanga Commission, guilty by association is the theme. I have never been so grateful for that I've never done And even though at the time I felt like I should have done it, but later on God would be like, girl, did you see what happened? Aren't you glad you didn't do it? You were not part of that whole crew. So yeah, I think 2026, well, 2026 is like the year of the great reveal. Like, you don't, like, even in your own family structures, you're like, what? I thought that was like the best malume ever, but what? He was doing what? Like, you know, what's done in the dark is definitely coming to the light, and there's no logic or cleverness in terms of how it went into the light. God is a mastermind. He has a way of letting things come out. You know, people are saying, you know, you can never be above the program. God's agenda is not man's agenda. God's ways are not our ways. He conspires things that no one in their clever mind could ever think of. Who would have thought God will use a man like Mkhwanazi on the July 6th to trigger so many events that has been triggered right now? Who, like, no one would have thought about it. I'm sure even now, even Mkhwanazi, the General Mkhwanazi, probably he wouldn't have even thought, like, would I have the courage to stand up to such a situation? So stop accepting the basic when people give you information. When people try to minimize the situation, you need to be able to probe your loved ones, probe your peers, probe the line of questioning. As soon as you leave that room, you need to be saying, what clarity did I just receive? Or you need to be like, I refuse to be questioning what this person was saying after I have left them. Do not be satisfied with the basic information. Have an awesome day. Bye.